Alright, step one with bunk bed instructions. You need to take this top part here and drop these little guys right into the slots in there. That way you don't have to hold it while you're putting the rest of this stuff together. Secure all the corners and knock them down in there so they're locked in place.
There's numbers.
Alright, in case this didn't record before, this part, you're going to take this bar for the front that says front and put with the wording facing inward, and then you'll run two bolts here. One of them, top one, threads directly into this rail. The bottom one threads through and you put a nut on the other end. On the outside you use these curved washers. So the next part is you use the same bolts you used on the bottom there on the top here to attach these parts here. You'll have to thread this straight into the outside here, and then this one goes into the bottom there, and you are good to go. Put the curvy washers again on the outside. Alright, next part is attach the futon bracket. You take two of your shorter bolts and you run them in from the outside into the inside here, and you put a nut on it. And there's one there and there's one in the back. The sides on here are side specific and they're not labeled, so you might have to play with it a little bit to make sure that you got the right side.
The bed side is in the back.
Oh, good tip. The bed side is in the back on whatever side you're going to go with. So the next part here is putting these bolts through to attach this long rail here that goes on the top. Basically, similar procedure. You're going to use the longest bolts that came with it, and you're going to run it through the outside here. Use the curved washer on the outside. On the inside here, you're going to use a nut on this part. At the last part, after these are in, you're going to use these little caps, which are humorously called pee-pee hats. And then you're going to put those on the end there so you don't have exposed screws. This next part here, you're attaching it here. You can put the washers on there, facing the curve, and then put a nut on the other side. And then you're good. And this is the second from the biggest bolt. Or no, second from the smallest. Then you want to put these little foamy guards on here on the outside wherever the futon frame is going to hit. Alright, one more part here, the center leg. Basically there's your leftover bolts that you'll have here will go in here to attach the center support. It goes in the front where this bar is. That'll keep it from bending. Alright, here's the last piece that you got here. Now if you did what we did, then you did it wrong. But this one piece that we didn't know was upside down here is these little holes that are drilled right here and here. So when you're putting that top bar on, there's a hole that should be here on the other side. So it's possible to put this back on upside down. We're not going to fix it because we've been farting with it a little bit. So, but this goes together to hold the futon together so the frame moves in at the same time. So you will want to put that on there on yours. Since this one's just living on display, we're going to leave it like that until we got to take it apart. Okay, well, full disclosure here, this is the bunk bed wrap up, but basically we did end up using a power drill on all of these to just kind of cut down on time. The Allen key, it takes a while, so we took a little shortcut there. So if you got one of those, that helps. Some of the bolts we ran into were not threading right. We ended up having to thread them in with vice grips, so that was the thing, but they did thread and everything's together. That's all.